Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy. It's kind of funny because Virgo can talk about seeing those things that are hidden in the dark and learning lessons and taking time alone. And in the top row we have almost all the cards not showing themselves. So, the way I read it, the top row is kind of high vibe Virgo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. We all have free will. We all have our dualistic nature. We have our more worldly, more motivated by ourself, or our more immature, prideful, egotistical, fearful, codependent, whatever. The list goes on, right? And then we have our more hopeful, believing nature. And we could just be the bottom row can just represent that we want to stay in our comfort zone. If we were to go live life differently, view life differently, we'd have to make changes in our life. And, we can be afraid of making changes in our life. We have different people that we hang out with in the world. Maybe we change jobs, friendships, or relationships. So some people could be struggling within themselves. But at any given time, there's some people that have nope, I am moving forward in a high vibe energy. I have no interest in repeating old patterns, being in my more shadowy, immature nature. Other people are I have no interest in healing, growing, or maturing myself. And I do want to keep living life the way I've been living it, And sometimes we're not at that stage of life where we feel the pressure to make changes in our life, We all move forward and we all kind of can feel stressed out or something at different times in our life. And when some people are ready to move forward, some other people aren't. And a lot of times, that's okay. People wish you peace, you wish them peace. The problem is more if it's a long-term friendship or romantic relationship, because we really did want them to move forward with us and kind of be on the same page at the same time we were. So I'm really curious about the top row. But let's look at the bottom row because there's less cards. We'll start out, though, with the top row. We start out with the Page of Swords, which can represent all three of the air sign energies, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, which is about our dreams, our truth, and what we think is just and fair. And we come in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get more clear about what our truth is, for them to get more clear about what their truth is. Because the truth sets us free, and we should all live our authentic life, and we shouldn't live a false life, We shouldn't try to present ourselves as something that we're not, And you could have dealt with some people that all of us tap into air sign energy of Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, because Gemini is about what our truth is in our dualistic nature. Am I like a student of life and have that hopeful, believing spirit in my dreams and in love? And that love should be just and fair, or do I still have some lessons to learn? I might still be kind of immature or codependent. And by coming in contact with some other people, it could help you get clear about your truth. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Wands can represent the things that we're manipulated by. I view the Queen of Wands as our shadowy kind of in the shadow row. It can represent these things that manipulate us in the world. Other people, the world, lust, greed, pride, ego, fear, insecurity, wanting to hide behind our ego. And we've all been there. If nothing else, we've all been probably more codependent, looking to other people to love us and validate our worth and value, because we haven't learned to harness high vibe Leo energy, which is aligning with our hopeful, believing, loving nature. Leo is also represented by the sun. If we haven't learned in our free will to choose to treat ourselves with love and compassion and forgiveness for the mistakes we've made in life, the lessons we've had to learn, and offer it to other people in our life, then our shadow nature still manipulates us. Our past pain and heartbreak still manipulates us. We can always get into friendships and relationships with people. We start out in the top row with the Five of Pentacles. We can kind of feel left out in the cold. We can be a little bit in our ego because a relationship didn't work out the way we wanted, or a job or a friendship didn't, right? Well, you know, shadowy fire energy can be kind of like, well, I want what I want, and I want to feel better, and I want these things of the world. Because the devil kind of represents our shadow nature and all these things of the world that we're fired up about, that we're drawn and attracted to. And so that can just be, again, we want to be in relationships with people. We want to have a job. And that we could make decisions more out of fear and insecurity, less greed, instead of loving and believing in ourselves. And, that's a journey in life to go on, right? So we can get in, sometimes though, we just get in mismatched relationships. We can have some people in our life that we're moving forward with in life. Other things didn't work out. We got in friendships and jobs and relationships with other people. Some of the people in our life are authentic and honest and loving and hopeful and believing. But we can always have some other people in our life who maybe don't want us to listen to our intuition, don't want us to love and believe in ourselves. And so, just like we have our dualistic nature, we have these different people in our life that we can choose to be in friendships and relationships with. The high vibe people want us to love and believe in ourselves, to learn lessons in life, get out of our fear, get out of our insecurity, quit being manipulated, to kind of like love our own inner child. If we harness high vibe Leo, being in high vibe energy like the sun, we're offering love to ourselves. High vibe people want us to offer love to ourselves, but we can have some people in our life that it's like, well, I don't want you to go hang out with those people. I want you to hang out with me. And I want you to backstab that. I don't want you to align with that within yourself, and I don't want you then to align with those people. The Ace of Pentacles can represent seeing the truth and listening to your intuition and love to guide you. Our own shadow nature doesn't want us to see the truth. Our own shadow nature doesn't want us to love and believe in ourselves. At the big picture, in a world of duality, we have life force energy represented by God. We got shadowy energy represented by the devil. I don't think you have to have a religious philosophy to see that this is what goes on in the world, and to see that people have free will choice. Some people choose to be bossy and controlling and manipulative and hurtful and unkind, and some people have tempered their more egoic nature to be authentic and loving and warm, right? But I think our own shadow nature, because the knowledge of the tree and good and evil was like planted within us, the seeds are both there, they want to grow. Our shadow nature doesn't want our loving nature in the driver's seat of our life, because then our loving nature our shadow nature can't run our life. The only thing is, our shadow nature doesn't give a damn. It could drive our life completely into the ditch, and it would lick its fingers and say, damn, that was great. And then there's some shadowy people in our life that don't give a damn about us or our dreams. They just want what they want. They don't care if it's best for us or not, as long as they get what they want. Some people don't care if you're miserable, sad, abusive, controlling, manipulative people. They don't give a damn how the other person feels, so long as they get what they want, right? Because ultimately the devil is very selfish. Doesn't want us to learn lessons in life, doesn't want us to heal or grow or mature ourselves. Wants us to put an end to listening to our more hopeful, believing, loving nature and invest in our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our lust, our greed. That would be living the life. Let's go do that instead. And let's hide from the world that we harness this energy in a shadowy way so people won't know we're shadowy or immature or prideful or egotistical or hurtful or unkind or selfish or materialistic or self-centered. The Five of Swords. In really shadowy energy, the Five of Swords can be people who want to win at all costs, and they don't care who gets hurt. And some people think You know, you're either being truthful and honest and authentic, treating other people the way you like to be treated, having hope and faith and belief and love, or you have ulterior purposes, right? I don't plan to do that. Because I have mental conflict about that, is what the Five of Swords can talk about. The Nine of Cups can be, I like to indulge myself in relationships, and I like people to indulge me in a relationship. I indulge my own more immature, shadowy energy, and I want other people to indulge me in my more immature, shadowy energy. And I'm going to hide from the world that I just might have a lot of mental conflict I don't want to deal with. I might hide from the world that I'm egotistical, self-centered. I think everybody else should put aside their pride and ego in this workplace, friendship, family dynamic, but not me. I think maybe because I shine bright in the world, or I have status or image or money or power or something, I think people should indulge me in a relationship. That is a shadowy relationship. It's not about treating other people the way you want to be treated. It's not about justice and fairness and truth and love and authenticity. That's not some people's truth. And they don't want to do that either. My philosophy of life is that if I have these things of the world, and if I get someone to get in a relationship with me, whether they're shadowy, more worldly, or more loving, I don't want them to change. Because the devil doesn't change, right? And some people have no intention of changing. Because in order to free yourself from what manipulates you, you have to stop investing in whatever it is that manipulates you in your ego. Your lust, your greed, your pride, your ego, your immature nature, your bossy nature, your controlling nature, your more materialistic nature. Whatever it is, some people really got some mental conflict about. Stop investing in that. You know, because they really think living their life a certain way or viewing life a certain way or being a certain way is what's going to make them happy. If they're more materialistic, I don't want to be enlightened to the truth that there's more to this world than just me and these things I want to go indulge in. I think if I have status, image, and power, that's what the world says is the name of the game. That's what I'm going to make my life about. That's what I'm going to go invest in. And they're sure that's going to make them happy. If they want to go indulge in things of the world, nope, I'm not doing love. I get hurt doing love. I'm not going to be more authentic and loving in the world. I've been there before. It didn't work out. Sadly, they've probably known some people, just like the rest of us have, that backstabbed and betrayed them when they were wanting people to be more authentic and loving and warm. And just like us, some of those people have dealt with people who harness shadowy Leo energy, shadowy Capricorn, shadowy Gemini, shadowy Earth sign energies of Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, shadowy Aquarius, shadowy Pisces. And sadly, some of these people in the world decided to give up believing in their dreams. And they said, that's it. I got hurt. And needless, some people got hurt horrifically, so it can be very hard for them to be more authentic and loving with people. But other people saw the truth, and they said, I dealt with someone who wasn't just fair, loving, kind, encouraging, and supportive, and those people were illuminated to the truth. The Five of Pentacles up here moves away from the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles was a foundation I was holding on to, a way of living life, a way of viewing life, people in my life that I wanted to hold on to. I did not want to become more independent of that. Excuse me. But I saw the truth. This is hurting me. This needs to end. And when we complete a cycle and we work through all the different thoughts and feelings and confusion we have about a situation, about seeing the truth. Some people in my life are hurtful, unkind, materialistic, want to win at all costs, more about themselves, more about their ego, more about indulging themselves. My dream isn't going to come into reality here, and this is hurtful. I need to see the truth. So I'm going to stop investing in them. And I'm not going to keep moving forward with those people. I'm not going to keep hiding that my dream isn't coming into reality here. Because the Five of Swords is Aquarius energy, also represented by the star. And it comes after the 2, the 3, and the 4 of Swords, which is all Libra energy of what we think is just and fair, that I could have been moving forward with some people that I thought we were all motivated in the 2 of Swords to listen to our intuition about the 3 of Swords, how past pain and heartbreak has kind of manipulated us and stopped us from loving and believing in ourselves. And I thought in the 4 of Swords, I thought we were all going to take action in truth and love. And then we find out some people kind of harness their Libra and their Aquarius energy differently. I did feel stuck because people were hurtful and unkind, and I was heartbroken, and I decided the best choice was not to do love anymore. And you can move forward in a relationship, and you can maybe work through certain things, and people are willing to heal or grow or mature in some ways to compromise to keep a relationship going. But then when it kind of gets to be about their idea of the dream life or the dream relationship, or really, because shadowy Aquarius, again, can be, I'm more caught up and inspired to look like a shining star in the world. That's my most important thing. Not love, that's optional. Or that it can even go off the board. I don't even need it. The most important thing, secretly, is to look like victorious and successful in the world. Or I don't show people that it really is just kind of more about me. But I don't show people that because I want to be in relationships with people. I want to be able to indulge in a relationship. I want to move forward with other people in a relationship. And so, we've got lessons to learn about listening to our intuition, because we can be in relationships with people and we can love them, whether they're our adult child, our siblings, our parents, friends, whatever. We can love them, but, how long are we going to indulge people in poor behavior? And if someone's being hurtful and unkind, definitely could give the impression I don't even want to invest in you anymore. It's like, okay, well, am I going to let that keep me in negative energy? Again, it's kind of like you can go out in the world and people can throw you under the bus, kick you to the curb. You have the free will choice if you stay there, and some people are staying there. No, other things didn't work out. That's it. I'm done. From now on, it's all about me, about my ego, indulging myself. I am not going to let my more hopeful, believing inner child nature out to play in the world anymore. And some people have the idea, I don't want to be more authentic and vulnerable and loving. But there are those kind of what they would call immature and gullible people. Can you imagine what the devil thinks of people who have hope and faith and belief and love? Well, I think there's some people in the world like that, that's just not their truth. That is not what drives and motivates me at all. And maybe because they've been backstabbed and betrayed and hurt, they've decided being loving and being authentic gets you nowhere. Why would I do that? All I do is get backstabbed and betrayed. Boy, if there's going to be people in the world, you're either a loving, authentic person or you're a manipulative person. I choose to be a manipulative person. I'm going to take advantage of those sorry suckers. So, shadowy people, if they're bossy, controlling, egotistical, defensive, immature, impulsive, reckless, whatever, they don't probably want to be in relationships with other people that are like that. And sometimes, the devil wants to look like God. They want to look like they are this high vibe person. So the idea is, I'm going to go invest in someone who might be more independent, because that's what the Nine of Cups can mean. They're more independent of their more selfish, greedy, bossy, controlling, immature nature. They could be inspired by hope and faith and belief and love. They harness this energy in a more high vibe way. Oh, and look, the poor thing has been left out in the cold. I'm going to go get in a relationship with them. I'm going to go make them an offer. I'm going to hide that I'm not taking the action towards them because of truth and love. It's because it's good for my ego or my image, or I just want to indulge in a relationship with you for a while. So whether some of you have been in that type of relationship or you had to get out of that kind of relationship, some people right now could be doing the work within themselves to love and believe in themselves and listen to their intuition to get out of a relationship like that. As you and other people are moving forward, you're always going to meet people because duality lives in the world and you have free will choice. Have you learned that lesson or have you not? Can you still be tempted more in your ego and your lust and your greed and your more codependent nature? There's always going to be people that are looking at the more hopeful, believing people in the world, loving people. This relationship didn't work out the way I want. I feel left out in the cold. Can I get in a relationship with you? And they might try to present themselves, shadowy people try to present themselves as a high vibe person. I'm not toxic. I'm not bossy. I'm not egotistical. I'm not, immature. But they are, And what some high vibe people have learned is I need to, kind of like the feminine figures in tarot can represent how we think and feel. I need to be a loving, nurturing person to my own inner child. I don't want my more hopeful, believing inner child nature to be abused by people anymore. And in my high vibe energy, I have to become more independent of ways of viewing life where I maybe could have been more in my ego or codependent nature or too caught up in these things of the world that I wanted. That previously I didn't listen to my intuition, and we've all got lessons to learn about listening to our intuition. Our intuition is like our gut and our sixth sense. When somebody's smiling in your face and your gut is telling you this person is not who they say they are, or being drawn and attracted to people and we get involved in relationships when we know from the get-go we're not on the same page. Why the hell did I go do that? It's like, well, if we want to keep having to overcome being backstabbed and betrayed or heartbroken, we need to become independent of our more immature, codependent, lustful, greedy nature if we want to move forward in life, because we have a dream we want to bring into reality, and apparently the way we were doing it wasn't working, and high vibe people are willing to see the truth. You have to get out of your ego to be even willing to admit maybe the way I've been going about things isn't working for me. And that's why some people won't be moving forward with you, because they're unwilling to get out of their ego to admit that maybe the way they're doing things isn't working. Or that maybe they have some lessons learned. Or maybe they're kind of manipulative or self-indulgent or have a lot of mental conflict they don't want to work through. And all those things manipulate them. And they could have people in their life that manipulate them. The world could manipulate them. Caught up so much in the world. I got to wear this and I got to act like this and I got to hang out with these people and not those people. High vibe energy is being independent to go live your authentic life. Let the world judge away, because the world's going to judge away anyway based on who they are. So how about you go treat other people in justice, fairness, and love. Be authentic. Move forward in life. Treat other people the way you like to be treated. Quit getting caught up in the gamemanship. Just live your authentic life. But some people, it's like, oh no, it is all about the world. I am not switching camps, boy. I am sure this is the way to go. And that's how some of those people are going to keep living their life. And yeah, they might be hiding, they have some mental conflict because they see other people that probably have gotten out of relationships with them and other people that are in relationships that are more willing to be vulnerable and authentic and just and fair, but they have a problem with it. So it doesn't quite work out for them, right? Anyways, the high vibe people are moving forward. Another thing about shadowy energy is shadowy people that are kind of in shadowy energy, it can be all about trying to create this illusion. The devil tries to create an illusion of how wonderful their life is. And because they're so worried maybe about what other people think of them, when we're in our pride and our ego and our immaturity and all that, our judgment is kind of clouded. And they think for sure, just like we have done, that I am sure if I go do this, that will make me happy. How many things did we go invest our time, energy, and effort into the world that we thought for sure was going to make us happy? And we had lessons to learn. And it can just be that some of you have learned some lessons in life that some other people haven't learned yet. So they keep indulging or making their life about these things that they sure will make them happy. The truth is, until we learn to invest in loving and believing in ourselves, we're going to be in more codependent energy where we're looking outside of ourselves for the answer. Drugs, booze, food, gambling, sex, relationships. Some people could have tried all those things and found out those things weren't the answer. Eventually you keep doing things thinking they're the answer to you being happy, and then you realize the truth. I need to work through my own mental conflict about believing in myself and loving myself and believing in myself and believing in my dreams. I need to detach from this old way of living life, love myself enough to get out of all these things that emotionally confuse me and manipulate me, and see how I sabotage myself, see how when I'm in shadowy energy, to whatever degree I'm kind of getting in relationships with other people who are in shadowy energy and are happy I'm in that energy. And they want me to stay in that energy with them. And my dream isn't going to come into reality. And it kind of forces us to do this work within ourselves, to love and believe in ourselves. Why would I stay in jobs, friendships, or relationships that aren't the truth of I've come to realize? Initially, I might have thought I really liked it. The devil can be, you're really attracted to someone, and yep, this is the person I want to move forward. You had no intention of wanting to go anywhere else. But then, as time goes by with some people in our life, if everybody is willing through the process of relationships to grow and heal and mature themselves and change, because the fives can talk about change, and be more independent, then we all go through a phase of life. We all face our fears, insecurities, and we grow and heal and mature in some way, and we move on together. And we keep going through cycles, Age 15 was a cycle up to age 18. Then we had to detach from some more immature ways of being to be more like an 18-year-old. And we did the same thing at 21 and the same thing at 25 and 35 and 45 and 55. And the people in our life who, we go to a new phase of life and we're happy. Then we stay in that phase of life for a while. And as other people or different people in the group are kind of changing and healing and growing and get inspired to move forward in life a little differently, we might be a little concerned, but hey, you're my friend, you're my person I'm in a relationship with, I'm going to face my fears, I want to move forward with you. And so we do that work with each other. And we can go through several cycles with people of iterations, but eventually some relationships will end. If it gets to the point, it's one thing to be willing to face our fears and step out of our comfort zone a little bit, but if it really gets to the point of a core truth of being more independent in the world and being more authentically ourselves in the world, not still caught up more in our ego about the world. And that's kind of why we do things or we stay in things. That can be where a relationship ends. Like, because some people just aren't willing to be more authentically themselves. Some people aren't willing to be more independent from their own, some things in their shadow nature or their ideas of how they view life and what's important to them, which can be this more worldly dream or more focused on themselves. Needless if some people are in other relationships, like say you're a friend with someone and they're married, well, their marriage should take the primary focus in their life. And sometimes some of those people, they're in kind of a conundrum because they could kind of like to move forward with you, but maybe some of the people in their life are afraid they'll become too independent, and I don't like what the ideas that person puts in your head. I don't want you to move forward with them. And then if they feel like, aren't I supposed to be able to be independent in a relationship where I get to live my own authentic life just like you do? And, it's to not be controlling or manipulative or use the love that people have for you to try to manipulate you and control you. So some people could be dealing with that. But as some high vibe people got out of some and do this in their life, if the job is toxic, the people are toxic, the friendship over time becomes kind of toxic, or I feel like people are kind of manipulating me, using the love that I have for them because they know I don't want to detach from them, that I would like them to come with. And sometimes because people know that, and they don't really want to move forward that way, it can be to try to stop you from moving forward that way yourself. And some high vibe people, people who love me should encourage me to love and believe in myself. And, because high vibe energy is being more independent, growing to your full potential, investing in your own unique talent, skills, and interests and your dreams. And there's some people where it's like, I would stay in a relationship with you for quite a while until you really start to become more independent or more confident within yourself. Like, I like getting in the relationship when you felt left out in the cold and you maybe were in more codependent energy and you look to me to be that loving, encouraging person in your life. And I like to play that role in people's lives. But if you get out of being in more codependent or out in the cold energy, well, now the relationship dynamic has changed. And now I don't like it. And you can go, and I'll go find someone else who doesn't love and believe in themselves, that feels left out in the cold, and then I can replay this role in their life. So, what's going on in the top row? Let's go look at all these cards that aren't showing themselves. The Four of Cups, the Ace of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, the Eight of Wands, the High Priestess, the Two of Cups, and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. So, we can be in friendships and relationships with people, and we can be truthful and inspiring and loving, trying to encourage other people to work through their own things that manipulate and control them and their own fears and insecurities. But it is a free will choice, and we can't make people do that. And some people like having people in their life that play that role in their life. You keep being loving and encouraging and all that. I love it. I'll keep moving forward with you. You keep being that type of person. But, eventually, in the Four of Cups, we can feel sad because we feel like because of whatever manipulates them, they don't really work together with us from a foundation of love. We might always be offering them love, but they don't really offer us love back in a way where there's equal give and take. And we're kind of inspired to move forward with the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands. And then our intuition could be telling us that some of these people we love, they don't really want to put in the work and effort to free themselves. If they wanted to be more free of things that manipulated them, they would be. And, you know, that's kind of a lesson to learn too. How many times have we gotten in relationships and it's kind of like, oh, I'm this loving, nurturing, supportive person. Oh, look at that person. They're sad. Or look at that person. You know, I'm going to go change their life. I'm going to free them from what manipulates them. Well, you can't free other people from what manipulates them. You can offer people love and encouragement and resources, but they have to want to be motivated and inspired to deal with the truth of the things that manipulate them, and then they need to take action on that truth. And some people are like, I don't ever plan on doing that. But this is great. Let's stay in the relationship. I like this relationship. But it's never going, their idea of the dream relationship is for you to keep either being sad or depressed or codependent or feeling left out in the cold and they don't really care. Or you indulging them in their poor behavior. That works for them. It's good for their status, ego, and image, maybe. But you realize your dream isn't going to come into reality. And so when you do this inner work within yourself, why would I stay in a situation where I feel like someone is using the love that I have for them to manipulate me, or they're just outright being stubborn or bossy or controlling or manipulative? You know, that's not how I'm conducting myself in the relationship. And if I'm not conducting myself that way in a relationship, I want to be in relationships with people who aren't conducting themselves that way in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship with people who've learned some of the same lessons I've learned. The Devil and the Ten of Swords can be people that have a lot of fears and insecurities that really, really keep them up in their head. Really keep them in their ego and their fear. So afraid other people are going to leave them and become independent of them that then they do things that end up sabotaging the relationship. Well, until they see the truth of it, why be so fearful of people becoming more independent and loving and believing in themselves? Why not go with them on that journey and do that work within themselves? And it can be because some people never planned to do that. You know, Aquarius energy, again, can be what was your plan of how you imagine doing life and living life. And some people never plan to do that. I don't want to look at that stuff that manipulates me. And I don't, you know, some people have that type of dream of putting in this work and effort to free themselves from things that manipulate them. But that requires, in like high vibe Virgo energy, that you have to do this inner work and look at those things you keep hidden in the dark about yourself and about others. And some people do not want to see the truth. They might indulge themselves in their ego, immature ways, materialistic ways. They don't want to see the truth if they do that. That causes them mental conflict. I don't want to see the truth of it. There could be other people in their life that tempt or control or manipulate them. Oh no, those people have my best interest at heart. No, they're not. They're not being manipulative. They're not trying to manipulate me for some ulterior purpose. Their ego wanting to control me or not wanting the best for me. Oh no, they love me. They might not be seeing the truth because they don't want to see the truth. And then there's people in their life that are happy they don't see the truth. I'm glad you haven't healed. I'm glad you haven't looked at life from our perspective. I'm glad you haven't become more independent and love and believe in yourself and move forward with that energy within yourself and other people who are like that. I'm glad you don't do that because I don't do that. And if you were to go do that and go live the life of your dreams and be more independent and love and believe in yourself, that would cause me mental conflict. So instead, I'm going to try to stop you from doing that, because then I won't have mental conflict. And I'll be happy that you're more in your fear and your ego and your insecurity and your codependency. And I don't really care that you feel left out in the cold from your more high vibrational, loving nature or other people in your life that were like that. I'm glad you aligned with me. So, we align with our own shadow nature because then we don't have to go out in the world and face our fears. And then there's people in our life that are happy we don't. High vibe people want us to be independent. But then we maybe have to be more bold and brave and confident, more independent of the world and people in our life. Maybe have to speak our truth. People don't want to do that. So while high vibe people are moving forward, and then the Page of Swords is like not being forceful or anything. It's just standing in your truth. I am moving forward in my truth. Some other people could be watching you and they would really like to stop you because they don't like you loving and believing in yourself and standing in your truth. Because if you didn't, then you would maybe be in a relationship with them, or they would make an offer to get in a relationship with you. But they won't get in a relationship with you if you are moving forward standing in your truth. They only want to get in relationships with people who feel left out in the cold and are in their ego, so that they can offer them things of the world. And other people quit investing in you because you are independent and love and believe in yourself. And they're like, nope, I want to go find someone who indulges more in their ego because that's more aligned with my truth. And then there's some people in the world, they're trying to create this illusion of how wonderful their life is. They see you moving forward, standing in your truth, seeming to be, I would think a page energy is that, you're kind of independent and living your life. Some people just think you're putting on a better show than they are. Well, the only thing is you're not putting on a show. What they don't understand about you, they're hiding, they still have a lot of mental conflict. They're hiding that they do kind of want to win at all costs. They are trying to tempt people in the world, using their emotions, using their sexuality, using their looks, their charm, their money to try to get people to help create this illusion. What they don't know about you is you've taken that cup of higher love and you're inspired to go on this journey of learning more lessons in life. And you did learn the lessons you were meant to learn from that phase of life. And you're taking that lesson you've learned to not repeat that old pattern and to get out of your defensiveness. From the 1 wand to the 8 of wands, you got out of your defensiveness and you're no longer defending an old way of viewing life and something that at one time you could have thought was victorious. You don't feel that way anymore. You're moving forward. You're letting love and intuition guide you. And there's some people in your life you no longer want to work with. And it's not kind of like wanting to be in a relationship almost like where it's a job. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to make you love and believe in yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm going to make you this and this and this. It's like, I don't want to be in a relationship where it feels like it's a job. I want to find people who are inspired by the same truth as I am, and it just flows. I also don't want to be in a relationship where it is more like a job, or someone wants to be in a relationship with me where it's like a job. We should put in this work and effort and for the status or the image or the money, and you should be in a relationship with me because of these reasons, or I'll be in a relationship with you for those reasons. It's like, no, I don't want a relationship to be like, I have probably a job, right? I don't want to get in a relationship because I'm treating it like a job to make money or to have a certain status or image. I'm going to put work and effort into my life and my career or whatever. And I want to be in relationships because it flows from love. And then I think with the energy of love and creativity and imagination, people can be inspired to put in more effort into their career fields or to work together or come up with something that they want to work on together. But the main reason isn't because of looking at a relationship as a means to an end, except motivated and inspired by love. And I think as you move forward, you're going to meet other immature people who want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship. People from your past and people you've known and people who kind of have a lack mentality might want to be the next people to indulge in a relationship. But the only people you want to move forward with are the people who've learned these lessons and detach from an old way of living life and are speaking the truth and being authentic. So what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Pisces that they might not see coming up? The Death, the Knight of Cups, the Lovers, the Death card again. Why? Because of the King of Wands. So the King of Wands is fire sign energy. The Queen of Wands is fire sign energy. The Eight of Wands is fire sign energy. You are inspired. The Death card talks about transforming your life. Shedding an old way of living life, viewing yourself, viewing others, I want to shed that old layer of myself, just like I did age 15 to 18, 18 to 21, 21 to 25. I have learned everything I've needed to learn there. And the only reason I'd keep living my life that way is because I'm afraid of having confidence in myself that I can conquer this next level of life. And I'm no longer going to keep backstabbing myself because it caused me a lot of inner conflict. So I'm going to offer myself that cup of love to believe in myself, and I am going to move forward. You're done emotionally investing in a lover that's dead. Gemini energy, like the Ten of Swords, is Gemini energy, which is our dualistic nature. I can align with my more worldly, egoic, fearful, codependent, insecure, immature, lustful, greedy nature. But if I keep doing that, nothing changes. And I'm putting an end to that. And instead, I'm going to emotionally invest in my high vibe nature of Gemini energy, being inspired to transform my life. And I think as you do that, and you only want to move forward with other people who have transformed their life, who are inspired more by truth and love than the world and ego and indulgence, as you move forward in that energy, other people who are motivated and inspired by that energy will be drawn and attracted to you because they see you're not getting in relationships or taking action in your life more out of pride and ego and lust and greed and immaturity and codependency. And they want to move forward with you. And they're going to quit doing that within themselves because they want to move forward with other people who transform their life, just like you want to. And you will be moving forward in relationships where people can let their more hopeful, believing inner child out to play because people have learned to be loving and warm and encouraging and supportive and truthful. What's coming up for people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Pisces energy that they don't see coming up? The Emperor. Why? Because of the Emperor. Okay. Well, the Emperor also is fire sign energy, Aries energy, but just like every other zodiac sign, we can harness it in a more high vibe, worldly, or shadowy way. Sometimes people want to look like the boss. That's kind of what the Emperor can reference, male or female. I want to look like I got all these things in the world. I want to look like a boss. I want to have a certain status, image, power, influence. Why? Because that's kind of what they're motivated and inspired by. And then they might want to get in relationships with other people who have a certain status, image, or power. The only problem is, if the people they want to go get in a relationship with are high vibrational, they harness their Aries energy differently. One can be more bossy and controlling and manipulative and self-indulgent, and the other one's being more inspired by love. And if that happens, eventually the high vibe people, even though they might like to be in a relationship with them, eventually those people are willing to make good decisions in their life. And staying in a relationship where people are backstabbing and betraying me or emotionally manipulating me is not a good decision in my life. And even though I don't want to detach, and even though I might go through a period of feeling left out in the cold, even though I I don't know, there can always be reasons why we kind of like to stay in something, you know. Ego, image, stability, security. I have to stop investing in that because that is indulging my more worldly egoic nature, and it's going to keep me in something that isn't growing. It isn't maturing, it isn't inspiring, it isn't loving. And eventually high vibe people decide to leave. And if the shadowy people keep living life the way they live it, they could have a lot of people who eventually keep getting out of relationships with them because they don't want to see the truth, that they kind of want to indulge themselves in a relationship. Or they're very bossy and controlling, and they justify that, and they think it's just and fair, you know, but not everybody else thinks it's just and fair. But it's difficult as someone who's kind of more worldly shadowy. You know, it's just as hard for them to find someone who's on the same page as them as it is for someone who's loving to try to find someone who's kind of learned some of the same lessons, because you have to be willing to compromise and work together, right? And even more prideful, materialistic, manipulative people have to be willing to compromise some. Some people quit investing in people who they could have transformed their life with because they had mental conflict about it. So then they thought, they weren't looking at life from a higher perspective. They just thought, I'll go get in a relationship with someone else and I'll look like the boss or something, right? But the person they could have went to go get in a relationship, if they, to any degree, wanted the person they got in a relationship with to kind of heal or grow or mature themselves or temper their ego or whatever, the other person could have been like, screw you. I will go find someone else to go get in a relationship with who will indulge me, you know? And there too, if you have two people getting in a relationship and neither one of them is in it because of love, why are they in it? Oh, well, if someone else comes along who'll indulge me more, bye. Oh, if someone else shines brighter, got more money, more status, blah, 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 bye. And the people who are willing to stay in a relationship with them, you know, there's always bigger fish in the sea in a way that if some people are bossy, controlling, manipulative, other people take advantage of that. Oh, huh. You had some loving people you could have moved forward with, but you didn't. Interesting. So, you're kind of codependent on the world. That's really important to you. Perfect. Me too. So, basically, I can manipulate you for these reasons, right? And if I have some of these things of the world that you want, I can get you to kind of more indulge me. And then some people won't like that. They might think that might be how they view relationships. Whoever has more of whatever people want, that's the person who's in power. And I think sometimes some people who view life that way and they get in relationships with loving people, they're really afraid, probably because some other people in their life, that the people, if the people in their life were to know they really love them, they're so afraid that they're going to manipulate them like some other people in their life manipulated them. But the sad thing is they weren't listening to their intuition because the loving people never had the intention to manipulate them anyway. But they're not listening to their intuition and seeing the truth about the different people in their life. So no, if I get in a relationship with someone and I start to feel like I love them, I feel like they're going to have too much power and control over me, I got to end this relationship. This is dangerous because whoever has more power can abuse that power. So I'm going to abuse my power or not do love. And then they can get in relationships with other people who are happy that they're afraid of love. And then those people manipulate them because of that. And they use these things of the world and the pride and the ego and the codependency. And then they could get in a relationship that's very controlling. You know, maybe a little bit of what goes around comes around. And for the people who are more codependent, more unwilling to give up those things of the world, unwilling to become more independent, it could be in a very conflicted relationship that people are staying in, even though they maybe don't want to stay in it. But because of maybe unwilling to admit that something didn't work out the way they wanted and too much ego, they keep moving forward in it, feeling left out in the cold because they don't want to tell the truth. Other people is like, I want to live my authentic life and the world can judge away. I am going to speak my truth, and I trust the divine will work with me to help me transform my life. And I think when I don't live in something that's unjust and unfair, and when I'm willing to heal and grow and mature myself, I think the divine works with people like that to help them bring their dreams into reality. And quit investing. We can offer everybody love and encouragement, but I'm going to invest my time, energy, and effort into people who I think treat me in a more emotionally mature, just and fair, authentic, loving way. And that in itself is transforming your life, you know, versus people who might stay in jobs or friendships or relationships where they feel backstabbed and betrayed every day, right? So there you go, Pisces. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.